A game-winning goal from Michigan Wolverines put an end to an exciting set of regionals to open up the NCAA Men's Hockey Tournament. Starting next week, the remaining 4 teams will kick off the Frozen Four set to be played in the sunny site of Tampa Bay. Hello everyone and welcome back to this edition of Penn State Sports Night. I'm Logan Bourandas alongside Adrianna, Gallucci and Jackson Tortone. So it's time to break it all down. So guys, that overtime goal from the Michigan Wolverines was one of many exciting moments that we saw in these first 2 rounds. So what was a moment that really stood out to you, that maybe something else?
For me personally, the first game with Michigan, I think that 11-1 victory was insane. Like the amount of offense from Luke Hughes and Rugger McGroarty, just the dominance they showed in that first game. I mean, 11 goals in a hockey game is never a joke, and I just think that was crazy.
Well, I think obviously there was a team that didn't make it, ended up being the Penn State Nittany Lions, but what stood out to me was the strength of the Nittany Lions throughout this whole tournament and season, actually. They started out the season by being unranked, finished at number 11, got a bid to Allentown, which was a great look for the program. Liam Soulier only allowed 2 goals that entire tournament, which ended up being in the Michigan game that had that heartbreaking loss for Penn State. But I think from here, that Penn State team, that program in the next year or 2 is just only going to get bigger and better.
So you guys both talked on a different Big Ten team, but let's move to a different team in that conference as the Minnesota Golden Gophers, the overall #1 seed, making it to the Frozen Four, taking on the only non-#1 seed in this Frozen Four in the Boston University Terriers. So what do you guys see in this matchup to open up the Frozen Four?
I think for Minnesota, you definitely have to look at that star-studded line. You've got Matthew Nyes, Logan Cooley, Jimmy Snuggerud. That line combined has 148 points together on this season. It's insane. That is NHL talent right there. Minnesota's been storming through the Big Ten so far, and I think that for Minnesota, that they're going to come in and they're going to completely dominate this tournament.
I have to agree. I think Minnesota's definitely going to win the first game. I mean, they're a pretty good program. Obviously, the part of the country they're in, and yeah, that star-studded lineup, and plus Justin Close, that goalie. I mean, and he's one of the best in the country. I just think that they're going to, and plus losing to Michigan in the Big Ten tournament is going to be a big motivational factor. They're going to come out with fire in their eyes. They're going to really want it.
Well, Jackson, you just talked about Michigan, so let's circle back over to them. They, of course, had that overtime goal against Penn State, and they'll be taking on the Quinnipiac Bobcats, who sport arguably one of the best goaltenders in the conference. So, Jackson, I'll throw it right back to you with this matchup.
He is great, Quinnipiac is great, but Michigan is better. Their offense is the best in the country. Yes, with a star-studded lineup with Adam Fantilli and Luke Hughes, the offense is just crazy good, and it's going to put up a lot of goals against Quinnipiac, I think. And honestly, I don't think the game's going to be close. I think it'll be a blowout.
Definitely have to agree with you there. Looking at the board, Colin Graff, second in points in the NCAA behind Adam Fantilli. So you have that sort of talent there. And then also looking at Yaniv Peretz, who is a Hobey Baker finalist from Quinnipiac. But you know who else is a Hobey Baker finalist? Adam Fantilli, along with that Minnesota line. So don't get me wrong, there's so much talent in this competition, but I agree with you that Michigan's probably going to walk away from that game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you guys mentioned a lot of stars on both sides, so it should be some fun matchups. And when we have 4 teams right now, it's going to get down to 1 eventually. So to kind of put a bow on this entire thing, who is your winner for this Frozen Four?
Go ahead. I'm
going to go with Michigan. Michigan is undoubtedly the most talented team in the Frozen Four right now. Though that Penn State game did give Michigan a little bit of, fire under their belts there, coming in, facing number 11 Penn State. Maybe that was a too close game for Michigan, but I think they're going to take that game, they're going to use it, and they're going to use it to work towards that overall Frozen Four goal.
So I think Michigan did show a little bit of vulnerability against Penn State, and I think that because they lost or they won against Minnesota the first time, I think that Minnesota will again have that fire in their eyes, and they will go out there wanting to kill Michigan, and that's what they would do. Maybe not kill, but definitely win. I have to pick Minnesota to win the whole thing this year.
We'll see if it's one of those 2 Big Ten teams like you mentioned, or if someone else from the field will come away with that Frozen Four title. Well, it should be interesting to see which of these 4 teams will be named champion after the dust settles. The semifinal matches will be played on April 6th, with the national championship being played 2 days later on the 8th. For now, that's going to do it on this edition of Penn State Sports Night. For Jackson Tortone and Adrianna Gallucci, I'm Logan Bourandas, and let's do that hockey.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night. We hope you liked that segment.
And we're sure there's other Penn State Sports Night segments that you are going to love as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.
And check us out on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes clips and pics. Follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action.
For all of us here at the Belisari Media Center, we are
Penn State Sports Night.